It's nice to meet you all, and I'm glad you've come today. I want to share with you a story about what I've come to say. So I'm 31 years old, a Pisces. My birthday is March 14th. I have a twin sister, and I graduated from King Drew Magnet High School down the street. I host, I sing, I write, a little poetry on the side. I've had some ups and downs in life that I don't blurry, lie, or hide. See, for about 3 to 4 years, I was abused and beaten badly by a stepfather, no less, who made us even call him daddy. I grew up with somewhat of a father figure and some wannabes here and there. I knew who my father was, but at the time, I didn't think he really cared. My mom and I fought daily, but I guess that's what we do. We've worked things out today, and I thank God we made it through. I went to college for journalism at Cal State Long Beach. I learned a lot about living on my own. I was never really one to run the streets. I ended up leaving school to work full time. I had a place, I had a car, and a man. I thought I was living a dream, but I guess God had another plan. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with cancer. Hodgkin's lymphoma, to be exact. I couldn't believe it when I heard the doctor say it. I was like, oh no, it can't be that. But the lump on my neck told a different story. And the night sweats became too hot. And the man that I loved at the time told me I was going to have to find another spot. Now I felt lost and alone. I was screaming to God that this wasn't fair. I got to fight daily for my life, and I got to lose my hair. Not thinking about all the friends that I would lose along the way, or hours of sleep, my soul to keep. And on hard nights, I just had to pray. But I had strong people by my side that didn't leave or break our bond. And when the going got too tough, they stood by and they kept me strong. I sometimes feel like I was chosen. And other times I feel like I was cursed. I cried so hard at the beginning when the doctor told me that I would never be able to give birth. But I'm a woman, don't you see? How could I be a real one with no hair and no babies? Messed up by what I see on TV that I forgot what really matters. It's not about material things or lifestyles photoshopped on an Instagram camera. I'm still a woman, nonetheless, and I'm a good one at that. I don't drink. I try not to gossip or think that my worth is on my back. I'm a God-fearing woman, and although we have just met, I can tell you that I love you, and we're all bound for great success. So now you've learned a little bit about me, and I hope you didn't judge me just before you knew. My name is Jennifer, but I go by JayBee, and it's very nice to finally meet you. And it's true. You hear the words cancer and your heart drops. You think of all the people you know who have passed on from breast, colon, leukemia, lung, melanoma, throat, testicular, and you just know, I am gonna die. But aren't we all? God doesn't tell us the place or the hour of our demise, and we know it's gonna happen. My story, the doctor told me cancer after I was waking up with night sweats, a lump on my neck. I had gained a considerable amount of weight, and I was itching profusely on my legs, arms, and back for nearly a year. But how? Because I stress easy, but I don't drink, nor do I smoke cigarettes. Was I too consumed with what others thought of me, with how I dressed, what I looked like? Look, y'all, there's 1,000 ways to die, but at 23 years young, how did I get the worst possible thing? We question God, but do we ever really question ourselves? It was then that I realized that my worst, my cancer might not look like somebody else's. So your worst, your cancer, could be just as life-altering. And I'm sure you ask yourself why bad things happen to you, or how'd you get such bad luck? How did you get your cancer? What if I told you that none of those hows or whys even mattered? And that this could be the very time that God, the universe, or whatever it is that you believe in is urging you to live and not die. My diagnosis with Hodgkin's lymphoma, blood cancer, never really whispered death to me. It was a word and not a sentence. But I just knew I would make it out alive, I guess. I was destined to do more. I did ask God how, but I never really asked him why, because I knew I wasn't exempt from any of the disasters or diseases that this world goes through. Imagine that. The world doesn't revolve around you or me, but so many of us go through the exact same things. Trust me, we all going through something. Okay, maybe not as severe as cancer, but the tribulations of your world can rock you. Loved ones leaving us from these diseases that seem to have no cure, depression, mental illness, police brutality, our environment. I mean, we are in the city of Compton. And to some who have never stepped foot on this city's rich soil, that's a hardship in itself. But your environment shapes you. It's who you are. It molds you. It picks your friends, some of whom you'll know all your life. It's the rally cry for any other place you go. Your environment is your school, it's your city, but it is also your body. So how are you treating your environment? I knew that I had to use my diagnosis as a stepping stone to help others who were already going through or would go through this ordeal. I told my family, and I told everybody on Facebook, because you know it's not real unless you put it on the book. So I went in like a soldier in the battle. I was fighting for myself, but also for my granny, Mabel Warren, who passed from breast cancer years before. She was my best friend and supporter, and I watched her body fail and her arms swell, and our entire family was there when she passed. I was fighting for my twin sister, who all of our lives shared everything, from our long hair to our clothes to our face. Debatable. But I didn't want her to have this. And I was fighting for my friends who were still partying and planning baby showers and marriages, and they had never seen someone at 23 go through high-dose chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant. I was fighting for all of us, y'all. And knowing that with my environment's help, I would come out victorious. I would celebrate cancer and everything that came with it. There was never if, it was always when. So what if we started thinking that way about the trivial things that we go through in our lives? Don't if your plans, win them. You can't do it alone, though. It takes hard work, consistency, and community. I'm a fighter, but I'm also a creative. I created a world laying months in my hospital bed. I created blood cells for my transplant. I created a narrative in my mind that said, you can't beat everything, but you can beat cancer. Creating would save me, but God, He healed me. However, sometimes healing is temporary, as I found out when I was diagnosed with cancer again, after only a month into my first remission. Again? You want to know what's worse than being told you have cancer? Being told twice. So, how many times have you gone through your cancer? Let's fast forward to 2 years later. I ran for the Miss Compton pageant just 6 months after my stem cell transplant. I was still weak and skinny, and definitely bald, but I couldn't take sitting in the house anymore. I was cancer-free as far as I was concerned, so I made myself get up every day, rehearse, learn to dance, kill the talent competition, find appropriate swimwear, a gown, learn how to do a proper pageant wave. I was a bald head pageant girl, but I was also a survivor. I wasn't dead. I wasn't dying anymore. I had every reason to regain and renew. So I did. I'm from the city of Compton. I had no choice. My time was on the clock and I thought it would stop. I was constantly staring at the second hand, but I wasn't being a woman of faith, putting my faith in a man. Not knowing only God could give me my second chance, I had my hair in my hands and I couldn't hold any food in my stomach. And I couldn't stomach what the doctor told me as my weight plummeted. He said I might not make it, so what would you take from it? When the rest of the world was showing me sympathy, the will in me kept me away from it. Now I was asking everybody but my Heavenly Father for answers, but what would you do if they told you you had stage 3 cancer? When nothing feels and nothing tastes the same and my remission was just a waiting game, I got on my knees and I screamed his name, my Lord, I thank you because you kept me. When the people I thought was close to me left me. Now I just be grateful because all I had was you when they would leave me lonely. Lord, you could be here today and gone tomorrow, but I'm a walking testimony, and this was my warfare. And I told myself I would be beautiful again, even after coming in third in the Miss Compton pageant. It was my first taste of community, but it wasn't enough. I wanted to do more. I wanted more people to express themselves, regardless of how they looked or how old they were, to be their authentic and creative selves. In July 2017, I created and curated the first free performing arts platform in my community, the Compton Open Mic. It houses over 200 people on the last Thursday of every month in a beautiful building named after the first Black mayor of Compton, Douglas Dollarhide. It's at night, next to a train station where the DJ throws back, where the hustlers, workers, transients, and hoes can hear, "You're in the city of Compton, woo woo," from the street. Being a creative sent me to Sacramento on the stage of Capitol Hill to help continue art in the city. I've met with people who can make decisions to continue things like the Compton Open Mic for your kids, your parents, your grannies, ages 9 to 99, to have a safe place in a seemingly not so safe space. Forget worrying about being a real woman. I was a real Angela Davis, an activist. I got the wave down, and I did win that talent competition, so I was a real pageant queen. I had a successful open mic and led over 50 audiences, so I was living my dream as a real host. Hell, I was all 3 members of Destiny's Child. I was a survivor. I knew what I was and where I was, but were there more people like me around me? In 2018, I, along with some of the greatest change agents this city has ever seen, formed a group called The Camp. We decided on the acronym Compton Academy of Mobilizing People. We help others to be informed about being involved in this community. We assisted with one of the highest voter turnouts with millennial engagement, and we were recognized by our city council and the local news for cleaning up dirty alleys and the homes of our elderly neighbors. Even with that, imposter syndrome sets in. That's that doubt that tells you that you aren't enough, even though you have clear evidence that you're killing it. I was grateful to be alive, but I still didn't feel like I was living. I had a second chance at life, so this time, I refused to let life pass me by. Pass me not, oh gentle Savior, hear my humble cry, while on others thou art calling. Do not, please don't pass me by. And it didn't pass me by. So, I celebrate. I am now 5 years in remission, still doing great work in my community. I speak at schools. I've mentioned and mentored and modeled for international campaigns. I've hosted over 100 audiences. I am Black girl magic personified. I have amazing friends and family, and I'm always looking to do and give and be more. So whatever your cancer, wherever your community or your creativity take you, find your rhythm. Reflect on the things that make you, you. No one else is you, and that is your superpower. I used where I was and what I was to create the life that I needed. But this is your life. And honestly, nobody makes it out alive. I know it's hard. It's extremely unfair, but death doesn't discriminate. Every day you wake up is a gift. So whether you're straight out of Compton or straight out of chemo, whatever your cancer, I challenge you, when the coast is clear, go out and celebrate. The marathon continues.